Hello, folks. Welcome back to my channel. This is the World of TV Shows, and today we're going to be reviewing the 5th episode of the first season of Cold Case called The Runner. The episode originally aired on October 26, 2003. It was directed by David Straighten and written by Meredith Stein and Vina Sud. In this episode, the team of detectives is going to be investigating a 1973 murder case where an African-American cop was shot. And what is going to bring this case to their attention is a woman at the beginning is going to show up to the Philly PD headquarters with some kind of an audio recording tape. And as they listen to it, they're going to hear, some gunshots, right? They're going to basically be hearing the moments before Joe Washington's death, and before he does so, he refers to his killer as the Runner, hence the title of the episode. So they're gonna basically, they're gonna know that if they find the Runner, they'll be able to find the killer, right? So they're gonna be, leading the investigation, and they're gonna go back to the Raymond Jennings project, which was the place where where Joe Washington was basically killed, right? So they're going to ask, the local residents and, the people around. And the area is well known for having some drug dealing problems. So it's going to be pretty tough for them to crack this case, as it is going to look more and more like this Joe Washington could have been a dirty cop, right? So this is basically how it goes. Then they're going to be asking his wife at the time, Diane, and then they're going to be, basically she's going to tell them about a woman she thought might have been involved with her husband named Sammy. So this is when, the case is going to obviously become more and more, you could say interesting, as they're going to be basically having to also, they're going to, this Joe Washington had a lot of secrets, and these detectives' job is going to be to basically, find the answers to their questions and bring these secrets to light, and either, find out the truth about Joe Washington and what he was up to, or clear his name, right? So this is going to be pretty much how the case is going to be like. So they're going to be, going and investigating in the field, talking to the cops at the time who knew Joe Washington, and so on and so forth. So yeah, needless to say, it's going to be a pretty tough case to crack. But, with Lily Rush leading the investigation, as always, it's going to be basically, very interesting to see how she's going to try her level best to get answers no matter what. And she's going to talk to all these different people, right? And also, I didn't mention, but Will Jeffries, who's been a cop the longest, I believe, in the headquarters, is going to basically being able to fill them in on this, on what happened at the time a little bit, since he had first-hand insight on, many things that happened since he was a cop back then too, I believe, right? So this is basically how this episode goes, The Runner. And now, I thought this episode was good, but I didn't absolutely love it. I thought it was a little difficult sometimes to follow through, and you can most likely tell from the way I speak that sometimes it's difficult for me to recall some events, because this is the kind of episodes, I'll be honest with you, I watch it once, twice, a few times, and I still can't really make heads or tails, because I can't really, remember very well everything that happened in it, because it's a very complicated case. It has so many, curves and things like that. Now, I thought that the main, the main plot of the episode with this cop possibly, dirty, was interesting. But as the episode goes on, it felt like the case seemed to drag on a little bit, right? To drag out. I don't know really why I think this way. It's just my impression, right? It's just my impression that I had watching this episode. Even though it was good, I I wasn't really able to focus very much while watching it, but it was still a good one. So now let's move on to the actors. So we have Corey Hardrict, who plays Joe Washington, the African American cop. I thought he was pretty great. Barbara Eve Harris plays Diane, his wife. And then we have Steve Ryan, who plays Butch Rinaldi, who was a cop and who's going to basically be talking to Lily and the other detectives at some point. I believe the detective Jeffries, right? If I'm not wrong, and some others. I'm not entirely sure. And he's going to make some pretty, pretty distasteful comments about Lily at some point. That's pretty mean. I believe he was kind of, he was kind of a dirtbag in a way, but in this episode, but the actor Steve Ryan is pretty great in my opinion, and it was nice seeing him there. I believe he was in other TV shows as well. Then we have Riff Hutton, who plays Mason Tucker, who was basically at the time, who knew Joe Washington, I believe, and who is gonna be able to kind of, provide some answers. But he also was pretty bad in my opinion, pretty mean. Then we have other actors, William Stanford Davis, who plays DeAnty Rawlings, who's pretty great. And there are some other actors and characters. Yes, there's Aldous Hodge, who plays Mason Tucker back in '73, right? Different actors for different times, in the past and in the present, usually different actors play these roles. But I thought that, it was pretty great. There was a scene between, with Lily and Mason, when they're jogging, and I thought that, Mason was pretty much being an absolute, idiot, and I didn't like that a lot. Lily in this episode is going to be really determined, despite the fact that, she's encountering a lot of, mean-spirited people in this episode, as she's trying her level best to solve this case and see this investigation to the end, right, and find the guilty party. But I thought this was pretty nice. There were a lot of nice scenes, especially the ending with the closure. And basically, usually at the end, you have the confession that is made, and the guilty one confesses to his or her crimes, or her crime, his or her or hers, right? And I think this is a great thing about cold cases, that near the end, this is when you get the closure thing, right? And also in this episode, as Lily and Jeffries are going to be going to, investigate. At some point, they go to a part of town that is pretty, dangerous, I guess you might say. And there's that gangster music playing, and you have them, basically the close up on them, walking there like throwing no caution to the wind. I thought that was pretty nice, especially since Lily in this episode, due to the fact that she's a female detective, is going to meet, like I said, a lot of kind of, mean-spirited people who don't really appreciate what she's doing, but would rather just discriminate on account of the fact that she's a woman, which I think is pretty, nasty, right? That's just rude. So, this is pretty much how this episode goes. I thought that this was, a good one. I didn't love it that much, but I thought that it was pretty good for what it was. And also the whole thing about the runner, and this whole kind of, the fact that, yes, at some point Joe Washington's past is going to come into the picture, and they're going to be basically learning things about him, and whether he was good or bad, it's still going to be kind of explained as you're going through the episode. I thought it was pretty good. And it also shows, the bond between cops, and how if one cop is in basically in a tough spot, others also feel this need to basically, find the answers. But I thought this was a pretty, a good episode. Not my favorite, but it was good for what it was. So if I were to rate this episode on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. It was a good episode. Not my favorite, but I thought it was nice for what it was. So I would give it a 5 out of 10. And it's not that bad. It's just, like I said, a little difficult for me to follow through. But it has a nice closure and a nice ending and resolution, you might say. So 5 out of 10 for me. What What about you folks? What did you think about this episode, The Runner? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comment section down below, as I would really like to hear about your thoughts and views. Thank you for watching, and God willing, I'll see you on the next episode review. In the meantime, folks, stay safe, goodbye, and take care. This is the World of TV Show signing off.